What is up, Baggies fans, football fans, and sports fans, to the latest matchday debrief. It's a tough one. It was West Bromwich Albion 0, Derby County 1 over the weekend. Obviously, our special day ruined by the Rams. We knew it was going to come. John Eustace and Derby were in town. The one team and manager that always just seem to get one over on us, no matter how we play. And yeah, it's one of those days, unfortunately, where I think if we'd have played all night, we just wouldn't have scored. So before we get into the full deep dive, let's aim for 30 likes on this video. Leave a comment, let me know your thoughts on the game. Obviously, now you've had a couple of days to stew on it and your feelings. I think that's the best way to do this. You know, the raw emotion straight after the game, obviously, on the matchday vlogs is fantastic. But have a couple of days debrief and find out what you think. Subscribe. We are well on our way to 700 subscribers now and do really want to try and hit that 1K target before the end of the year. So make sure you smash that subscribe button, hit the bell notification, and like this video. Let's get into it. And for me, it was one of those games which leaves you frustrated more than anything, because for large spells of the game, we had control, we had possession, we dictated the tempo. And yet when you strip it all back, what did we really do with it? The first half especially summed that up. We dominated the ball, we recycled possession well enough, we were comfortable moving it side to side. Derby really only had one chance in that first half, and that was a header from 18 yards out, which ended up going wide anyway and didn't really look like testing the keeper. It was just Derby were very, very well disciplined. They made sure our front line didn't get an inch of space, and it worked. You can have 60, 70, even 80% of the possession, but if you're not creating genuine chances, it's the numbers on the screen. And for me, I think the only real bright spark up front this weekend was Johnston. You know, first half and second half, every time he got the ball, you thought, okay, something's going to happen here. He's running at defenders, he's direct, he's trying to knock it past them, he's trying to play the intricate passes. But when it came down to his final product, the pass, the cross, the shot, it just wasn't there. I remember him taking a corner in the second half. It didn't beat the first man. It come back out to him. He crossed it back in, and it didn't beat the first man again. Now, surely you've got to be beating the first man on for a corner. I know if we're trying to get it to the front post for a flick on, yeah, fantastic. But if the ball comes back out to you, beat the first man. I know their keeper would have probably come out and claimed it if he tried to, basically hang it in the air. But do something different with it then. If you'd gone for the front post and not beat him, try a different area, go for something else. And it was just difficult. And I'm not digging Johnston out there, because for me, as I said, he was the real bright spot for us. But the players around him just looked a bit out of it. And obviously they had internationals and a lot of players have been travelling, and maybe that's what's cost us a little bit, that lack of energy in game, going out and doing stuff. But it was just that the Derby had come in to do what we all knew they were going to do. They were going to frustrate us, get the fans on their back, sit in and play spoilers. And unfortunately, we don't have the quality to break teams down like that. And it's going to be a long season if that's going to be the case. We need to find a way to break teams down that will just come and sit off us, because there is going to be a fair few teams that do that. And the other player up front I've got to mention is Heggebo, because he's having a torrid time of it. He's a willing runner, he battles, he puts himself about, but he's not getting a lot of help from the referees. There are a couple of moments where he's manhandled, shoved off the ball, thrown to the ground, and you're waiting for the whistle, but it never come. And then on the opposite end, the Derby player, exactly the same happens, and he throws himself to the floor and gets a free kick. And I think that's the difference. I think Heggebo needs to understand that this is the English game now. If you're going to be strong, you've got to be strong and keep the ball. If you're going to be strong and stay on your feet and lose the ball, the refs are not going to give you anything. So go down, get that free kick, bring the team forward. And I think that's what when they brought their American striker, and that's what he did fantastically. He got into the tussles and he just went down under pressure, and the ref was buying it every single time. But for Heggebo, it never happens. He needs to learn that. He needs to learn how to buy the fouls, and I think that's his weak side. I'm not saying throw yourself to the ground, but if you're getting fouled and pulled around like he was, make sure the ref knows about it, because right now he's not getting that protection. Second half, it started much of the same. We had the ball, we kept probing, but it was more the same story. Possession without penetration. And then it gets a bizarre moment. We almost go 1-0 up, but it was actually our own player that stopped it on the line. And I mean, that's the kind of thing that sums up that game. 9 times out of 10, that goes in and it changes the game completely. If they'd have been more open coming at us to try and get a goal, and it would have played into our hands. But as I say, it was one of those games where no matter what we did, even our own players were blocking goals going in, and we could have played all night, and I don't think we'd have scored in that one. I think, we just need to take more risks sometimes. Find that little ball. You know, a couple of times Price was making an absolutely fantastic run, but the ball's too slow to him. You know, he's gonna be a key player for us, but we need to get him on the ball. And a couple of times in the first half and a little bit in the second half, we threaded it through the lines and he got the ball and he turned and he opened up the game. And that's the difference. We need to be taking those risks more. Instead of playing it to the right and to the left back and passing it around slowly and trying to build, find that cutting edge pass into Price. He's in between the lines. Find it and let him turn, and then you've got the two wingers and the striker in front of him. I think for me, we've got to try and get Madger in the team somehow. Whether that means, you know, moving Price out onto the right or Price out on the left and Johnston on the right and Madger in behind. Because I think Madger and Heggebo will work fantastically together because Heggebo holds the ball up and gets other players involved. But when he flicks the ball on, there's nobody running onto him apart from himself. So he flicks it on, spins, and then has to run onto it himself. I think if he has another natural sort of striker behind him, it will work fantastically. And that's where I think we're lacking a little bit. We need just the two up top almost, with Magic just sitting a little bit deeper. And then comes one of the strangest things I've ever seen in a football match, a bird incident. A hawk comes down, drops a bird onto the pitch right in the middle of the game. You couldn't write it, could you? It's Albion. We literally have a bird on the badge. We are the Baggies, and yet somehow the whole world seemed against us at a point. Bird drops on the pitch, the ref stops the game, and we're stopped for a good 3 to 4 minutes while we're finding somebody to come pick the bird up and take him off the pitch. And you're just sitting there thinking, get it off the pitch and just play on. And you know, I think it completely broke our rhythm. The crowd went quiet, the players looked distracted, and from that point on, we never really got going again. Football's about fine margins, and sometimes it's about moments that shift momentum. And as daft as it sounds, that was our turning point, a bird being dropped on the pitch. Now, I'm not saying Derby don't deserve credit, because they do. They came with a game plan to sit deep, frustrate us, soak up that pressure, and wait for one opportunity. And they got it late on. They pounced, they nick a goal, and of course, it's Andy Wyman. You know, if anybody was going to score against us, it was going to be Andy Wyman. And you knew it was job done from that point on. That's all they wanted. They didn't care about entertaining. They didn't care about having the ball. They just wanted that one moment, and they executed it perfectly. Now, for me, in this incident, Griffiths has to do a lot better with this. It's down low, I get it, I understand it, but there's not a lot of power on the shot. You know, it almost like bends his wrist and goes in. He should be stopping that, in my opinion. But from our perspective, it's the same old story. We can't just dominate possession. We've got to do something with it. The patterns are neat, the shape looks fine, but we need more runners. We need more creativity. We need somebody to take that burden off Johnston and Price because he can't do it all on his own. And Heggebo, as I said earlier, needs backing of the referees, or he needs to learn how to go down and buy the fouls. Our right side at the moment is so weak. Campbell and Wallace just don't work for me. Campbell is a fantastic right back if he wants to play a right back and not an attacking right back. Do we look at possibly putting Gilchrist in and seeing if he wants to play more attacking? Ilin Jr. come on, but he looks like he's one-footed. He's got to be playing on that left. So for me, I would, if we are going to be playing Ilin Jr. and he's supposed to be the replacement for Fellows, then move somebody out onto the right and put Ilin Jr. on the left, because he looked a bright spark when he come on, but he always wanted to get onto that favoured foot of his. So for me, play him in his natural position, and hopefully we'll start to see a lot more from him. It's a frustrating result at the end of the day, because on another day, if our man doesn't clear the one off the line, if Johnson finds a bit more quality in his runs, the hawk never shows up. We're talking about a very different scoreline. But football's not about ifs. It's about what happens in those 90 minutes. And we didn't take care of business. Derby did, and that's the difference. They took the 3 points home with them, and the curse lives on to another day. So yeah, that's my match review. West Brom 0, Derby 1. Plenty of the ball, little end product, one bizarre bird moment, and ultimately a defeat that stings. The positives: Johnston looked lively, we're still controlling games, and ultimately we still look a very solid organisation. The defence looked fantastic. I don't think we're going to concede a lot of goals. However, it's scoring goals is going to be, I think, an issue for us at the moment. And let's hope that changes if we do play Madger and Heggebo. We need more teeth in attack. We need referees to protect our striker. And we need to cut out those silly lapses, because right now, teams are punishing us for them. That's been my match review. As I say, let me know your thoughts now. We've had a couple of days to stew on it. Subscribe, and I will catch you all in the next episode. Bye-bye, guys.